reading. I'm with you. I absolutely hate reading. I don't like to read, but I know it's crucial. I know. I don't know where I got it from. Which is funny because when I was in prison, that's about all I did. At least when I was in prison the first time. That's all I did was read. Hi. I grew immensely, so much so that if I could do it all over again and a person said they'd pay me $1 trillion to not do that prison time, I wouldn't accept it. That's how much I grew. So reading is the, you know, when it comes to the Bible, reading is the absolute best thing you can do. So but here's the thing, in this very moment, I know why reading is why I hate reading so much. It's because Satan does not want us to read, and so he's going to make it seem like it's a challenging thing to do. That's what it is, right in this very moment. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, and he does. That's why there's so many times like I know I need to pray, and I can't seem to find the strength to even say a sentence or two sometimes. And that same with reading. When you really get in depth, and the Holy Spirit really begins to move, and you've pushed everything to do with Satan and his fallen angels out, all of a sudden reading becomes enjoyable, praying becomes enjoyable, and it doesn't take a fight to get you there. She says she actually downloaded one of the apps. That is awesome. That's real good. I'm glad to hear you did. And actually on that, like any of these commercials, if a person clicks on a commercial from from this live feed or any of my live feeds, I believe that I might actually get a little extra pay because a purchase was made from the clicking on the ad from this channel. I don't know how it all works, but that's how I understand it to work. And even free downloads are still considered a purchase, even though they're free. Just FYI. I need more Bible in my life, but I hate reading. Amen. There was a 30-second OnlyFans commercial this morning because I don't have ad blocker on the TV. Okay, OnlyFans. What is OnlyFans? I have no clue. Same with my AA book. I just can't read it. I hate reading. OnlyFans. Well, I guess we know what you're looking at most. What the world is OnlyFans? No clue. Sober. Got chipped yesterday. Amen. Amen. I'm proud of you. Real proud of you. Good. Now that you mention that, I vaguely remember talking to you about things to do with the addiction from your end and my end. That's good. Privacy. Oh my goodness, I forget how to get to the settings that block everybody. Oh my goodness. I thought it was under privacy or advanced settings, but status feature. Ever do a NA or AA? Yes, actually, I did. I actually did something a little different though. I took a AA class, or NA, Narcotics Anonymous or something. The class I took though was it was the same thing, but it was for the addicted that was addicted to enabling the addicted. Because how I got into drugs was a very unusual manner. See, I have always been anti-drug, very anti-drug all my life until I got married, and I want you all to understand I'm not about to share the story because I want to talk bad about my wife or anything like that, because let's remember that it's not flesh and blood that's bad, but rather the only thing that we've got to be forgiven for as flesh and blood is the choice in which we choose in which whom to serve. So past that, we give ourselves over to, whomever we choose to serve to be used as a vessel. So I'm no longer mad at my wife or angry with her, or I'm not trying to be revengeful or anything like that. But my story is that I was always very anti-drug because my dad passed away of an OD to OxyContins, overdose to OxyContins, and so I was so anti-drugs that I wouldn't even so much as take a Tylenol. And now I did loosen up just a little bit on the Tylenol as years came, passed by, because just the major headaches and stuff that come on and whatever, blah blah blah. But anyway, so then I got married, and as my marriage, coursed on or whatever, things just wasn't adding up, and I just kept knowing deep inside me something was off. I was missing something. There was something going on with my wife, and I couldn't understand it. But because I'd always been so anti-drug all my life, I didn't know really the signs to look for, because my dad, even though I knew he was addicted to pain pills, I was a child when all that happened. So, you don't really, as a child, you don't understand things. As an adult, you do, but as a child, you just don't. It's not even in your mind to try to understand anything to do with the drugs, because you don't know that they're bad. Well, anyway, so because I never really had any experience with drugs, I didn't know what to look for, didn't have a clue, but something kept just a very uneasy feeling. I'm missing something here. My wife is one person at different stages, and she's a whole nother person at other stages, and this just isn't right. This is not her. This is not who she is. Why is this the person she's being today, though? I don't get it. And this went on and on and on and on and on until finally something clicked in my head about the possibility of drugs. And so I kind of chewed on that, and I kind of let it go, and it kept coming back to me, and until finally one day I just got it in my head that, she's doing drugs. She's got to be. There can't be any other explanation that I can think of. That's the only thing that I can think of. Even though I didn't know anything about drugs, it was the only explanation I could come up with. And so finally I determined myself, I was going to figure it out no matter the cost. No matter what I had to do, I was going to figure it out. And so we was during a separation period at this point. I had unfortunately, I had broke up with, well, I say unfortunately, no, it was actually fortunate, I suppose. But we was broke up at the time. I had initiated that one. And but then, after initiating the breakup, then I started getting lonely and, all tearful and, depressed and blah, blah, blah. And then, but even during it, the hatred and anger and volatile manners in which she come at me at different points just was not her, and I knew it. And so anyway, one day she come over to the house one day, and I just told her, I said, whatever it is you're doing, I want to be a part of it. If you're doing whatever, if you're doing drugs, whatever the drug is, I want to do it with you. And she just laughed. She goes, "Oh, I'm not doing drugs. We talked, and she told me I was just overanalyzing, just looking too much into things, blah, 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 the typical narcissistic, responses. Of course, I didn't know anything about narcissism at the time either. And the word gaslighting keeps coming to me. I guess she was gaslighting me or something. I don't know. But anyway, so she wouldn't admit to it that day. Like I'm sure I tried to convince her that day. She wasn't hearing it. And so a little time went by, a week, 2 weeks, whatever. I tried to mention it again. I think she kind of blew it off, but kind of told on herself at the same time, just in the way she reacted. Like her response wasn't quite as rapid. And because of her response not being so rapid and so adamant as it was the first time, it was like that told me, yeah, I'm hitting a nerve here. There is something going on. So another couple weeks, I think, went by, and I went at it a third time, and I was very just persistent with it this time. And she's like, "You serious about this, ain't you?" I was like, "Yes, I'm real serious." She's like, "You really want to go down this road?" "Yes, I do. I'm tired of sitting here feeling all alone and abandoned. Yeah, I want to go down this road. If it's making you happy, hey, I want to be happy." At that point, she pulled a baggie out of her pocket with white substance in it, threw it on the table. She says, "There you go." I'm like, what do you mean there I go? What is it? How do I do it? However you want to do it. Okay. What do I eat it? Do I smoke it? What do I? She just started laughing. She goes, "Oh my goodness." And she's like, "Here, I'll do this. I'll do it. I'll do it this time for you." And she emptied the contents of the baggie out on the table, and she formed lines of this white substance on the table. And she goes, "You got a dollar bill?" "Yeah, why?" Second thing. "But just give it to me, and just shut up and give it to me." Okay, so I give her a dollar bill, which actually, funny enough, I think all I had on me was $100 that day, so I gave her the $100 bill. But anyway, that's beside the point. So she rose this $100 bill up into the shape of a straw that, like, you drink out of. And she's like, "All right, now use this and snort it up your nose." I'm like, "Huh? What? What do you mean snort it up my nose? I don't know about all that." Oh my goodness. It was like I could just imagine what she was thinking. This stupid, wet behind the ears, ignorant, blankety blank blank blank. I could just imagine that's what was going through her head. And she goes, "Let me do the first line and show you." And that's when she put that $100 bill in her nose and you know, did the line, and I'm like, oh, and when she did it, she goes, oh, and it was the way she did it was like, oh, it hurts so good, and I'm like, what the world? She goes, yeah, it's gonna burn when you do it, but it's a good burn. I'm like, okay. It's like, here. So I put the bill in my nostril. So then I put the bill in my nostril, and I went to try to snort it, and I'd lean down, I'd go to try to do it, and then I'd back up. I'd be like, I can't do this. I'd try it again, but the way she was looking at me and just shaking her head, it was like I was now at that point. Now I'm on the hook, and if I don't do it, I'm going to feel like an even worse idiot. So I went ahead and snorted the line, and oh my goodness, it burned so bad. But anyway, from that day forward, that first line is what it took. From that day forward, we ended up getting back together, and she would later tell me that the only reason she got back together with me was because I started doing the drugs, and I started buying the drugs and supplying her with the drugs. But remember, my whole point for why I did this was I wanted to figure out what was going on, what she was doing, what was making her this person, why our marriage was collapsing, so on and so forth, so that I knew how to handle it, so I knew how to try to repair our marriage. I got to tell y'all, do not ever do what I did. I do not recommend this at all, whatsoever. Don't force yourself into a life of drugs in order to try to repair your marriage. That's not how it works. That's not what's going to repair your marriage. Take it from me, my experience, my journey. So from that point on, I got real super bad on the drugs. So much so that people that sold the drugs, when I'd say, when me or my wife at the time would say that I hadn't been doing it very long, just a few days or a couple weeks or whatever the case was, they'd be like, oh, rubbish. Oh, no. No. The way you carry yourself, the way you talk, no, you've been doing this all your life. They really, truly believed I've been doing drugs all my life within the first couple of weeks of ever touching drugs. Because when I took to it with everything I had. I took to it 100% full force, head on. There was no stopping me. I wanted to work my marriage out. And it got so bad we was going through an 8-ball. Sometimes every 2-3 days. Whatever an 8-ball costs, $150 a whack, whatever it was that I was paying. I was going through that every 2 to 3 days sometimes between me and her. All that really did was make matters much, much worse. Yeah, it got me and her back together, but it was under false pretenses. It was under the pretense of, because I was supplying the drugs, and as long as we was together, she had access to even more drugs. So things got worse and worse and worse. Violence escalated, and until we finally broke up. And unfortunately, things will never be the same. And you know who suffers the most because of the drugs? Even though I've been free from it for 4 years, over 4 years, 4 or 5 years now, I've been free from it. The one that suffers from the past life of drugs is this 4-year-old young man that I'm looking at right now, because he has to be raised in a split family home. That's the one that suffers from it. No, it will not. Absolutely not. It will not fix a thing. But Satan will have you believing it will. He'll get you mother. Now, I ended up in jail on some fabricated charges, which initiated the second breakup, because I found out that she was pregnant. And when the day I found out that she was pregnant, I said, that's it. I'm quitting. I'm done with these drugs. I am not bringing a child into this world with this child's dad being a drug addict. Her response was, oh, you don't have to quit just because I do, because of the pregnancy. No, you're fine. You don't have to quit. She was legitimately serious about that. She did not want me to quit. And I was like, oh, no, I'm quitting. That's it. I'm quitting. Whatever it takes, I'm quitting. And a couple days go by, and I'm doing everything I can. Like I'm even, when I do have to, smoke a little bit, I take it away from her because I don't want her doing. She was already saying I'm not going to do drugs while I'm pregnant, blah blah blah, which she ended up doing anyway. But whatever, that's beside the point. That's on her. It's on her, but it's also on my son, unfortunately, because of the drug usage during the pregnancy. But anyway, within a couple of days of learning she was pregnant, I'd already started the quitting process, and she knew. She just knew that she knew I was serious. Well, at that point, there was already another man she had her eyes on, and I'd already caught her and him a couple weeks prior giving looks to each other, and I called her out on it. And again, oh, you're just looking too much into things. You're so overanalyzing, blah 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 blah. Try to make me feel like I'm a basket case, make me feel like I don't know what I'm talking about. Whatever, okay. Well, anyway, so then she realizes that I'm serious. I'm going to quit. She's also got this other guy she's eyeballing. So she makes some allegations to the court, has me thrown in jail. I do 17 days in jail. On the 10th day in jail, 2 stories to each pod in that jail. And I get about halfway up the stairs to go to my cell. I had a top level cell. I was halfway up them stairs, and I just stopped. And I just hollered out real loud just out loud, just whatever, just into the air, really. And I go, woo, I'm so glad to be here. It just like popped out of my mouth before I even knew what was coming out. And the entire pod went quiet. 50, 60 men in the pod. The entire pod went quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. And one guy, he pipes up finally and goes, what? Why are you glad to be here? And I said, because I am 10 days free of the methamphetamines, and I know for a fact that I will never go back to it again. The rest is all beside the point of what happened after that and what was said, blah, blah, blah. The point is that I knew on that 10th day I was free. Now, on that 9th day, I didn't know. But on that 10th day, 7 days after that, being the 17th or 18th day of it, because I did 17 days in jail. Anyway, so like 7 days after that, the good Lord seen fit to get me bonded out and all that. So then I carry on, and I'm telling my attorney, everything. The attorney takes everything to the DA, and the DA says, okay, tell you what, Al-Anon, that's what it was. It was Al-Anon classes. The attorney says, you tell him to take X amount of Al-Anon classes, and if he'll do so, I'll drop all the charges. Okay, well, I thought that I was going to go to a drug rehabilitation, outpatient type of drug rehabilitation deal. So I get there, and they're like, well, this is for blah blah blah. Anyway, what I ended up realizing was what the district attorney had told me to do was take these Al-Anon classes that were geared towards the person that was addicted, but not the person that was addicted to drugs. It was to the person that was addicted to being the enabler to the person that they loved that was addicted to drugs. That was a major eye opener. The district attorney somehow seen something that even I didn't see, or maybe I did see it, but just not wise enough, old enough to understand some of these realities or whatever. But the district attorney noticed that I didn't really have a drug problem. Yes, I had a drug problem. My time in jail cured me of that, praise the Lord. And I don't know if the DA could actually see that part of it or not. But the district attorney realized that I had an enabling problem, enabling the addicted person to continue using. So, yeah, I lost track of why I began to tell this story. What was it? There was something said. It was a different point I thought that was supposed to be made. Something about maybe that was just the point, was telling my story and how that I thought that me getting into drugs and alcohol, actually, because I took hard to the alcohol too as well when I took to the drugs. Well, I'd already taken hard to the alcohol, and then I took hard to the drugs. And I got so bad I was drinking the entire, oh my goodness, half a gallon, I believe it is, Jack Daniels. I got so bad I was drinking half gallon Jack Daniels every day, and wouldn't even hardly touch it. That's how bad I got on the alcohol. Needless to say, I never went to. Now, I'm glad I had the experience with drugs, because the experience and being set free, I can now talk to people about drugs. Know what I'm talking about. Instead of trying to judge and tell people how to live and how to do things and overcome addictions without ever having been through it. However, because of this experience, my son raised in a split family home where if I hadn't endeavored down that road with drugs, even though I was broke up, in a separation with my now ex-wife at the time, even though I was broke up with her and things seemed hopeless, and the only reason she said that she came back to me, which was the truth, was because I started doing drugs. Even though all that's true, if I would have chose a different path and chose to work on my marriage in a different manner, things could have went differently. If I would have given myself 100% to the Lord, said, Lord, this is in your hands. Help me to know what to do and to say. Things could have went a completely different way. My son might not even would be being raised in a split family home at this point, but he is. Well, when I went to jail, when she had me put in jail, her deal was that guy I had called her out on a couple weeks prior. Yep, that was her way of being able to move that guy into our home. I got out of jail. She had already had him moved up in there with her, and then that's where the real journey began. And I tried so hard not to file for divorce, and I refused to file for it so many times. And then finally, through the Al-Anon classes, the Lord used the Al-Anon classes to wake me up and make me realize. Matter of fact, he used the very first class I ever went to make me realize that just because I file for a divorce doesn't mean I have to get a divorce, but that I need to go ahead and start the process. Okay, Lord, all right. So I did that. I started the process, but I never intended on going through with it. Never once intended on going through with it. And then a little time went on by, and it was just eating me up because she was constantly with this guy, having him shacked up in our house, cheating on me every single day. And every single day I would forgive her for adultery. Every single day. Even though I maybe didn't always necessarily tell her, I think I probably only told her I forgave her a couple of times maybe, but in my heart, in my spirit, I had to forgive her every day, and sometimes several times a day, as it come through my heart, my spirit, or whatever, about her cheating on me. And then finally it come to me, listen, son, you're supposed to give 70 times 7, right? Yes, Lord. What's the math on that? I think 400 times. Okay, Lord. Well, I don't know how many times each day I have to forgive her, but how about I do this? I'll go 490 days forgiving her every day, and I won't allow the divorce to be finalized until at least 490 days has passed. And that's what I did. And so at that point, there's a lot that happened. I began to get real in tune with the Lord. I let him start guiding my path. It was not easy. It was not easy at all. It was super, super hard. But I forgave her 490 times. And then that's when I was done. That's when I was like, okay, now I've got to release. I know that I've done far past what the Bible told me to do. Now it's done. It's over. Get to go on the road. And unfortunately, there'll never be a chance for us again because just everything happened. But ultimately, it all boiled down to drugs. Satan used the both of us. He deceived the both of us into a lifestyle of drugs. And those drugs, the person that pays the most for that drug usage before this young man was even conceived, that choice to go down that road with drugs will now affect this young man for all of his life because he has to be raised in a family home. Crazy thing is I never even realized, never put all of that together until just now as I've been telling the story. Hey, don't forget my coffee, son. Daddy, I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry. That is my son rubbing a Lego, if you can't tell, against the mic. You just wanting to drive the viewers crazy. You just wanting to drive them nuts. Like nails on a chalkboard. I can just imagine what the viewers might be going through their TV screen right now.